They're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you for joining us here on this edition of Talk Today, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to be a part of today's production. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We invite you to share your thoughts with us. We have had an opportunity to schedule a discussion, as we referenced yesterday, hoping to have had sort of both perspectives on this port discussion. So at least two individuals from, as we call it, the pro-port position, and two from the CPR, Save Cayman position, and offer up a perspective that we're expecting it would have been balanced. We have to respectfully offer to our listeners that the representatives from the pro-port position would be unable to join us today. Hopefully, the others from the other side can perhaps still come in the studio and share their thoughts with us, and at least keep the conversation going, perhaps offer up a perspective that may allow listeners to not only be informed, from their position, but also challenge and equally champion as well. So that's what is planned. But until then, why don't we have some open line? Miss Susan says to me, when you're not at work, it's very obvious. People will know. Not only can they hear us, but now unfortunately you're subjected to having to watch if you draw the straw. YouTube, pop streaming live, and you go and you search it and you find us there. Well, that's how it goes. So if you're watching, well, thank you for at least subscribing and listening and contributing. And if you're listening, well, thank you even more. I think radio is, without question, the most immediate and the most effective means of communication. I honestly love radio. I don't say that lightly, and obviously should be more cognizant that may, perhaps make some feel a bit slighted. Not my intent, but as honestly as technology has evolved and how much easier it is for us to, have a video in hand because of the ability to us now to almost map the globe, people whether on board out to the high seas or whether they're some remote lands, and then furthest of the interior, can get satellite coverage, can get some sort of a reception that they can communicate. But a radio, wow, it's awesome. Whether it was the back in the days of shortwave or you found some other means, and how many in Cayman, and probably some of you in other parts. I think some family and friends refer to as skip. You would be able to listen on usually a very calm night, pick up radio stations out of the Gulf Coast of the U.S. and even further afield. We know those in the Western Caribbean, and we always talk about being able to listen to Radio Cayman when we came online, back 4+ decades or so. But hey, that is the beauty of radio. So as the transistor has become smaller and as the technology has been all-encompassing, radio still allows us. Well, this is open line, I believe, 949-8037. We had hopefully be able to continue our partnership with the Cayman National Weather Service as part of the education series. We'll continue to do that. And as we shared, we're going to have the opportunity to have, even in the absence of individuals representing the perspective of the ProPort, I know we had 3 or 4 almost consecutive shows with individuals giving their perspective. Today would have been nice to have had, but it is a Tuesday and the government gets into cabinet. We've got some of the politicians traveling and the like. So we'll see where we are. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. See if this wasn't the television screen or that video screen up there, I could point to Miss Susan and give her a high signal and say, who's out there waiting for us? Or some of the guests who were scheduled for the next segment coming early, and we could just quickly slip them in. But you can't do that these days, right? Because you're not only here, but more. So you see what I'm saying. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Something that I want to ask of us, though. We had earlier this morning a chance to speak to some students, and it's interesting to listen to them and to see their insight, to hear their enthusiasm. But equally, as you engage them more often, you recognize that whether it's a deliberate attempt on our part as adults, whether teachers or parents, or whether we're so unconscious of it, we say and do things that discourage our children, cause them to, at times to become, almost disconnected, and then through that discouragement, they think, well, what's the point? But what's for me, very, very insightful is to hear some of these students not only repeating whether it's in the classroom or at home or in some familiar circuit, they are sharing things that may have been shared there, but as a result they're thinking and they're engaged, and their access to technologies and the like, they're able to share that. And so this generation has an incredible opportunity, but we owe them our very best effort so that we ensure that whatever we're doing, whether it's in relation to the expenditures that we incur as their parents and caregivers, as the government of the day, relative to whatever taxes that we're raising, whatever projects that we're undertaking, that they have not just a sustainable, viable future, but an opportunity to live in a socially stable and harmonious society, one where they can enjoy the economic prosperity as well as the environmental, sort of serenity that some of us enjoyed, whether in the sea or on the land. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. 1-800-534-8255. And as we shared, it's going to be some open line until our next guest, who we're scheduled to come at 12:45. We're going to discuss the issue of the port. But take your calls and share your thoughts with us if you so choose. Now, yesterday we had mentioned the whole issue of the police announcing their new sort of policy relative to road closures. And some have shared, why should it only be weekdays? Why not weekends? And there was a lady in particular who said, listen, I recall very, very, vividly, she says. And it was a Saturday, she said, like many, they were out there, doing, what they need to do in order to get, whether it's at the garden center or whether it's at some other place. And she was in traffic. So she thought, with the road closures and the like, it'll affect us. And the same traffic that she would encounter going to and from work. And the days, she says, why should she have to be subjected to that on a Saturday morning as well? And the question is, as she posed, why not extend that to every day, including Sundays, if it's going to affect the public then it should be something that's considered irrespective of the day. And likewise, when a discussion and decision is being made, is it the police, the RCIPS alone? Should it be the roads authority? Should it be the cabinet? Or as she is inclined to consider, should it be another body, an independent body that can objectively assess these things? Because, she says respectfully, the politicians may decide against something because it's political expedient, or they may decide for it because they don't want to lose favor with that particular group. The police may look at it and think, oh, this is a manageable thing from our perspective, the resources, and approve it. Or they may be opposed to it because they think, this time of year, this time of day, we're already stretched thin. We can't police that. Why not have another body? And given that the requirement now is being proposed that they extend the time that you make your application. So if there's more time, maybe there's an easier way to make that decision. Let's go to our phones, though. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you doing? Kenneth Ebanks.
Hey, how are you, my friend? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good yourself.
Why, listen, man. The only thing better than sitting in the studio right now would be out sailing somewhere. You know anybody that got a sailboat, man?
Yeah, a very good friend of mine has one.
One day,
there's nothing he likes better than sailing.
I know, man. I know. One day, I promise I'll actually make time for me and taste the salt water. All right.
Okay, and actually, he normally keeps a good store of chocolates as well.
So I hear, man. So I hear. It's always a pleasure to hear from you.
You be asking your guests questions, but indulge me for 1 or 2 minutes so I can ask you 1 or 2 questions. Because I know you're a smart West player, so.
Man, is that really 2 words you could put in a sentence? If you read some of these online things, West Bay and smart, they might tell you that you're committing treason, man.
Well, I'll tell them, take a flight one way, go far, stay long.
Man. But go ahead, man. Yeah. I'd be more than honored to indulge you.
The whole issue about gaming or gambling, raffles. I mean, we have the gambling law, and it talks about certain churches and NPOs and NGOs. Everybody's sort of exempt. They can have raffles, and there's no. That's legal. But if someone were to sell a number, that is illegal. So, would you consider when you have entities such as telecommunication companies, supermarkets, the car dealerships, even some arms of government offering prizes once you, quote unquote, buy something to enter into it, or as a game of chance, would you consider that to be gambling?
Well, isn't it then if you, and I hear your point in just your technical assessment, any sort of game of chance, right? Whether it's being offered by a church or a government, whether a school or a charitable organization, would it not be gambling irrespective of the motive behind it or the seemingly innocuous nature of it?
Okay, so when you go to supermarkets or telecommunication companies or what have you, and buy something with the hope of winning something, then you're actually engaging in gambling.
Yeah. Would you say otherwise?
No. My whole point is, why is it that these entities can engage in that publicly and nobody is prosecuted?
But yet now others seemingly selling numbers on Sunday, whether they're in uniform or they're integrated, right. It seems okay. Yeah,
I mean, if they get caught, then the book is thrown at them.
Mm.
I just think that gambling, if it's morally okay for a church and the NGOs and NPOs and
the corporate entities,
right, to do it, then why can't we do it? Or is the government saying that it's the churches and NGOs and NPOs are, how do I want to put this now? Are they saying that they are more capable of dispersing the proceeds from those raffles better than government would be able to do it?
But two
and
things,
therefore, that's
right?
the reason why we don't have any public.
But two things, right? You remember, that famous quote that everybody up to repeat. All men are created equal, save some are created more equal than others. All right? Words to that effect, Orwell shared with us. But equally.
Well, that's another point I was getting to, but
yep.
This one is, I think if it is okay for some people to gamble, then or some people, some entities to engage in it publicly, then everybody should be able to engage in it.
Right.
But like I said, we all created equal.
Now, equal too, right? If and I appreciate Ms. Susan allowed me to indulge you for a second more. Remember a particular magistrate, and I believe it might have been the same certain magistrate in two different instances. I call it numbers. I think that's how she referred to it. In one instance, the magistrate ruled that because the person was here and back in her country, it wasn't illegal. So that ignorance of the law she accepted in that instance, right? I think that's how the media reported it anyway. So there was no conviction there. And then in a second instance, presumably under the existing legislation, the fine at that time was so minuscule that the magistrate said, well, it doesn't make sense to proceed because really, the little 2 pence. I think she even referenced that it was even in the small, still in the UK currency, the 2 pence that the fine would attract. Didn't make sense to proceed. So I'm wondering how is it sometimes even the courts seem to make difference. But just an observation, right?
Yes. Okay. Very quick point.
Yes, sir.
Good question. Okay, we talk about being in the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just touching on a subject that you briefly brought up a few seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
When you were in the middle, would that imply that there's something above and below you?
When you're in the middle, oh boy. You answer that for us.
I would say yes.
Okay.
The middle implies there's something above and below.
Not to the left or the right.
That's how you get the middle.
Yeah, or not to the left or the right.
Well, it could be that way also. But it means that there's something on either side of you for you to be in the middle.
Right.
Saying that to say this, you hear it uttered all the time, but the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know we had we had a class system in the island.
Well, fast developing one. It's all right. Listen, my friend, I'll thoroughly enjoy listening to you, but some days I seem to forget that I'm not in control. Respectfully, bad point, but please to actually leave us there, but please do. When we come back, more talk today.
Hi, fellow classmates. This is Donna with a roll call for our CIHS Class of 78 40-year reunion. Barracuda, Dolphin, Marlin, Tarpon, Wahoo, represent. Save the dates, November 9th through the 11th. We want everybody to come out for great food, great music, great company, and great memories. Link up now on the reunion Facebook page, CIHS Class of 78, or email CIHS78@gmail.com for more details. And see you in November. Cutting class reunion will affect your final grade. I wonder if Mr. Whiteside would give me a merit note for this.
Class of 78, call the Classique to leave your contact information.
I'm your boogeyman.
Advance Automotive Chevrolet is celebrating their 10th birthday by giving away $10,000 to one lucky person who buys a brand new Chevrolet. Not buying a new car this year? Well then, why not be one of 10 people who could win free gas for a year? Book any service with Advance Automotive before December 19th to enter. And remember, Advance Automotive can service any make of vehicle so everyone can enter. Visit AdvanceChevrolet.com for more details or call 945-9191 to book your service today. Terms and conditions apply.
Radio Cayman's financial news covering banking, investments, stock markets, and more. Local and international financial news brought to you during the 6 p.m. news hour by Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Thousands of Caymanians work in our cruise tourism industry. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that 4,500 Caymanians work in this industry today as taxi and tour operators, boat captains and crew, restaurateurs, retailers, water sports operators, and ambassadors at our attractions. If our cruise tourism industry is half of what it is today, what are we going to do with our people, the thousands of unemployed Caymanians? Support the peers, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today, and thanks for joining us. And we do have a caller online. We'll take that shortly, very, very shortly. We're going to have a chance to have a discussion about the port. We're expecting the good company of Mario Rankin, Michelle Lockwood, and Johan Moxham. But let's go to our phones and hear what our callers have to share. Hey, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Oh, good. Good to be a Christian, you know.
Yeah, or Ebanks or Borden or Jackson or, I mean, you know, all the good last names.
I'm Christian and Jackson. How are Jackson?
Yes, sir. It is to know that we live in a land where we can say we serve the living God, even in our sin. Huh?
All the church preaches about you must smoke, mustn't drink. But you know the chief thing that Jesus spoke again?
Mm-hmm.
The hypocrisy in the church leaders.
Mm-hmm.
He told, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. This is what a guy was saying about this gambling.
Mm.
It's okay in churches to gamble, government to gamble, but individuals. So I want to tell her about how they can sell numbers legally.
Okay.
You remember those times we had a martial lottery used to come down by mail, and you get the tickets in the mail, and they send back up your money through the mail. And if you win, you get your money, right? But see, that was legal. You know why that was legal?
No, sir.
Because the seller is not in the island. So I could actually set up an office downtown, get anyone wants to buy, say, a number in Honduras. I can get all the numbers and just email up the numbers to a man, a friend of a seller in Honduras. And if they win, the seller in Honduras can email down the government account here in Cayman. They can just go and pick up their money.
But how do you get the money? In your example, then, how do you get the money that you collected from your office in downtown? Presumably that's where you collect it, to the seller in your example.
In the account for the man in Honduras, so you send it up to him.
So would not the transaction at least have some tie to Cayman?
You put money for, as a foreign person, have an account here in Cayman,
mm-hmm.
and you deposit money in his account here. You have not to do just you can get a special license, bank transaction, whatever, but you just provide a service, sending, emailing numbers to the seller in Honduras.
Hmm.
And as long as that seller is not in Cayman, it is quite legal.
I'm not going to debate that because maybe there are other things, but you may be not totally correct, but who knows, right? Anything finally? If not, we just go to the other line. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, my friend. How are you?
All right, Mr.
Oh, man, enjoying yourself, I hope?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
Getting used to the sunshine now. getting ready to listen to the discussion, you know?
Yes, sir, yes,
I
sir.
would have loved for the other side to be in there, though.
Yes, we were for weeks now trying to put it together, find a convenient time, and I guess it just speaks to the demands on our schedules sometimes, you know. So we did have members, you know, from that side on from time to time consecutively. Would have been good today, but
or they could just be afraid, you know.
Well, that is always an inference you could draw.
But one thing I gotta say about the gambling, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all due respect, you know, my grandfather, right, and I say he knew, but, you know, really, got kind of chill out. But is one thing I gotta say is how is illegal here, right? And then the people that say they're legal fly off and gamble over there. I mean, it must be some moral compass over here where you got it that we're not gambling over here, right? No?
It's interesting, though. People who, you know, maybe not necessarily, as you said, buy here will, you know, buy whether in the U.S. somewhere or the UK or Europe. Yeah. So what do we do then?
No, it must be some moral reason why we not got a gambling here, right?
Is it a moral reason?
Here. It must be some reason, right?
You think it's a moral reason?
I would hope that what it proclaimed to me that way it is.
Mm-hmm.
That they're gonna set the island on fire.
You
know. But then you fly off and spend up this same place money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now you get away with it now because, you know, you're in another country. To me, that's a smart way to spare. Not sure?
Some would probably say so, yeah.
Yeah. That's a smart way to spare. And, you know, we got to hold them.
All right.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah, man.
But, yeah, that's it.
All right, man. Anything else, or?
No, man.
All right. But you listen in because we'll get into the port in a second. But just take one more call to close out our open line segment as we get into the port. Hey, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you? And it's good to hear you again. I've been away a couple of weeks, and not for a couple of weeks, but I've been away.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad that you had a safe trip and you're back with us now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Good.
Amen, brother.
He's my fourth. He's the one that I depend on every day, and I give him praise and thanks every day for his goodness. And I could never do the things that I do without his help. I realize that.
Yep, that is true.
But what I want to talk about this morning, I mean, I heard you talk about, Titus was on yesterday talking about the gambling and the double standard they have for different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think gambling is something that I would encourage. But sometimes when you have poor people that are on dole, government is you know, they're looking for government to get a couple of dollars to pay their rent and to do all this stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they have a chance to go out and get some money if they play. I'm not advocating it, but I'm just saying this is factual. This is what's happening. So they go out there and they pay a number and they get a couple of $100. They are arrested. You see, because justice. Let me tell you something. Justice is for the wealthy, for those who have money, not for the poor. The poor don't get justice. Mm-hmm. You know, and these are the things that happen in Cayman, every place in the world. That the rich people, those who got the wherewithal, can get away with stuff because you got a lawyer who has connections, who can do what he wants. Look at the number of people. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest rackets in the world to me is this. That thing they call they got people representing the poor when they go to the courts, right? And I know people that go there. I know for a fact that people, lawyers, that have cases for months on to just show up and they can't be there because they got other stuff to do. We, the people, are paying these guys. And if you see how many of them that never win a case, never get a justice, they always, and these lawyers are getting paid to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you right away there's something wrong with the system. Okay? Talking about gambling and about charitable things. They got a thing here called the Cancer Society, and people have heard me 100,000 times talk about what a racket that is. This collecting millions of dollars, and then they go down to the Ritz-Carlton, and they have a big party, and they play, and government has no idea what is collected, how much is done, and what's going toward the charity, supposedly going toward the charity, and what's going in the pockets of people who run the show. You see, we have to stop this. We have to stop this thing when these people come in, because they call it this, and then it used to be just the Cancer Society. Then it was the breast cancer. Then it was the colon cancer. And then it was the prostate cancer society. And they have all these. That was another thing we got up. And then the child cancer. It's our biggest racket in the world. And yet people run around and make people believe that they're doing such good things for us. If there had been, there is cure for cancer out there, but nobody wants to do it because the pharmaceutical companies control things like the Cancer Society. So they go out there, and when you go to a doctor, he can give you something. He can give you chemo, which is a killer, or radiation, which is a killer, and this is what they supposedly be treating cancer with.
Right. Well, this is where I guess we got to be very discerning. Hey, thank you, sir, very much. And with that, respectfully, let's pause, take this quick break. When we come back, let's have a discussion about the Port Project. In the studio, we have Miss Michelle Lockwood, Mr. Mario Rankin, and hopefully soon be joined by Mr. Johan Moxham as well. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Okay, settle down. There's someone I want to thank. This guy knows how to get the most out of every fill-up. This guy had the common sense to drive into Esso so I could get back on the road. $5,000 richer. Thanks to me. Thank you so much, me. Thank you. Yes.
Spend $25 at any Esso service station and get a chance to win in weekly draws for $5,000 cash. Every week for 5 weeks, we'll be choosing a winner. You can also get a chance to win free fuel and prizes at our weekly spin and win events. That's $30,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Drive into an Esso station today. You'll thank yourself. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Chinese food from China Village.
So bok choy from Northside.
But wait, what is this me hearing?
How China Village linked to Northside?
Oh, I know what this is. Wilbur Welcome is in China now.
Oh yeah, and Diana Look Loy, she grows bok choy.
Wilbur Welcome, another YCLA finalist.
Miss Diana Look Loy better bring some bok choy.
You have that right.
But wait, we forgetting something?
This week we'll be featuring the music of Jimmy Cliff.
And the intergenerational panel talk.
The harder they call, the harder they'll fall, one and all.
We'll be having a roundtable discussion with the elderly.
Yeah, we forgot that too.
The word of the week is comparative. COMPARTIVE. It is an adjective which means to be susceptible to comparison.
You can join us this Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. right here on Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM, and for Youth Plus, a program for all people by young people. Youth Plus, more than time.
Wonderful world, beautiful people, you and your girl, things could be pretty.
Did you know that you can download free hurricane preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website? Visit us online at www.waterauthority.ky to learn more about how you can prevent damage and minimize danger in the event of a storm. Prepared, be aware, be safe. This hurricane preparedness tip is brought to you by Water Authority Cayman, suppliers of the world's most popular drink.
Super Jam Showdown.
Gospel music has gone too far.
Positive Monday. Population Tuesday.
Hey, now, baby.
Latino Heat Wednesday to Thursday. Back the hands of time.
Supersonic.
Fly Day Friday Brack Party Block Top 10 Count to Female Friday.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Showdown, weekdays 3 to 6. Brought to you by
Leap Diversify.
At Leap Diversify, they are dedicated to your educational pursuits. Visit www.leapdiversify.com.
Leap Diversify. They don't succeed unless you succeed.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide on Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your type 1 and 2 plastics in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Please keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Join Radio Cayman at the Credit Union Thursday, October 18th from 12 until 2 p.m. as we bring you live coverage of the International Credit Union Day and Members Appreciation Event. Come on down and learn about the special loans along with carnival games, prizes, and snow cones for the kids, plus a chance to win $5,000.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today in the studio. I enjoy the good company of Miss Michelle Lockwood and Mr. Mario Rankin. For those of you who are just joining us, as we had referenced yesterday, we were hoping to spend some weeks planning and trying to engage a conversation on this port project, and had invited reps from sort of each quarter to sort of join us for a healthy discussion. With great respect, we advise that that the pro-port perspective is unable to join us. So thank you all for at least, as you carve out your schedule, your day work commitments. Yeah. And we hope to have this discussion. We believe that we've offered up, an opportunity for, everybody who has a view to share with us. We know that, the guys from that perspective have come on a couple of times consecutively. Going forward, hopefully we'll continue to do the same. And we will continue to, try to at least extend that invitation to have, some from this side, some from that side. And even those who are unsure. As we start this discussion, if you would allow me with the greatest of respect, and we don't need to answer just yet, but let's read an WhatsApp from yesterday. I want to reread this, and then we could just maybe at some point talk to it, right? I was trying to find another one that was a little bit longer, but was even perhaps more succinct, right? It says, I've been doing more listening and talking about the proposed port project. So there's too much, there's way too much political spin on either side, making it rather difficult for me to decide which side to support. Both sides seem to be saying that a port is needed, but it seems that there is no clear consensus on where it should be. So it seems to me is getting passengers on and off in a safe and timely manner is the driver of this project. It says, I'm well traveled and have gone to places where one economy is divided from the other by water, but connected by ferries. And there's a steady movement of people and commercial activity in both directions. So I'm therefore asking if all options of improving the way passengers are moved from and to the ships have been explored. Now, the other message that we received was similar, but the question that was asked in that one was, have we looked at all of the potential locations? And again, it was talking of the perspective of discussion and debate. Now, without hopefully making others who have a perspective that port is the way to go and where it's proposed is the best option feel slighted. The question that we have asked is, well, have all been evaluated, and then secondly, has the information been timely and forthcoming? As I think Michelle, with respect to Mario, you've shared, hey, there's information that is lacking. How can we ask these questions? Before we say ladies first, Mr. Rankin, maybe invite you for an initial sentiment.
I just want to say good afternoon to all of the Radio Cayman listening public, and again, we thank Radio Cayman for allowing us to to come on and share our opinions. I just want to make a quick response to the WhatsApp you just you just read out, and I find it hard to believe that anybody could think that both sides are political when one side is fighting towards the environmental side of it. I don't see how the environment could be political. However, that's his opinion, and I respect that. Certainly, there are many variations of this project that we do know about that the government has not, been willing to speak about, which is the environment being one of the biggest issues. The argument whether we need a cruise port or not is another argument, because when we look at our infrastructure and we look at the carrying capacity of any of our key tourism locations, we see that we already have exhausted that by great numbers, and it's becoming now more of a frustrated experience as opposed to a quality experience. So arguing about whether or not we need a port is a whole different discussion. And the emphasis that me personally have been putting on the whole thing is that, look, at the end of the day, we do need cruise tourism, but not to the detriment of our overall product.
Yeah, exactly.
Michelle?
And to the same point, I think actually the PwC report, which is outline business case that the government commissioned in 2013, looked at three options. So improved status quo, a phase 2 pier option, or 2 piers and a future cargo relocation, none of which is what we're currently talking about. We're talking about 2 piers and cargo, no, not even cargo relocation, cargo upgrades. Mm-hmm. So to say whether or not all options have been looked at, I don't think has been properly done. Like I said, the PwC report only really looked at 3 options in their case in 2013, which is what kind of went on to the EIA and the studies that were undertaken then. And now what we're doing now is a complete upgrade to the cargo facility, which wasn't undertaken in the environmental impact assessment. Mm-hmm. So it is a fair thing to say, have all options, have all locations been looked at, and I don't feel that they have.
Okay. Well, in the studio, if you're just joining us, we have Susan Watson over there. Yeah, she's making it happen, and whatever you hear, it's her. Mario Rankin, Michelle Lockwood, and the Right Honourable Johan Moxo.
You're not allowed to say that on Radio Moscow. I mean Radio Cayman.
Can we say Radio Moscow on here?
No, he's calling me Moscow.
No. I will say this. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very disappointed that the pro-port lobbyists and the government officials aren't here. I was told that there would be some sort of sensible, moderated debate. We've come here now. I think we've all held up our end of the deal to come and have a sensible, sane, logical discussion with the pro-port lobbyists and the agents of the government. But for whatever reasons, they're not here. So opportunity missed. But thank you nonetheless for the invitation. It feels really weird to be in Radio Cayman with a host that won't cut me off and dive straight into defending the government at all costs. You know, the objectivity is refreshing, to say the least.
I was wondering if you wanted me to, do that for you so you can feel comfortable about it.
It's what I'm accustomed to be honest with you. So,
well, come out of your comfort zone, my friend. No, and I thank you for sharing. I think our listening public, deserves an opportunity to hear, whether they agree or not, whether they're undecided or not, to at least hear a perspective. And hopefully through that they get informed. Maybe they'll ask questions and seek answers. Maybe with those answers they'll take action. With action, maybe there'll be an outcome that's beneficial economically, environmentally, today, but also sustainable. If I get accused of being objective and impartial, at least they can't call me handsome.
But Dwayne, it's so interesting that you would take that approach, because for me, what has become clear is lines have been drawn not based on anything sensible or rational, just based, and again, coming from the government. If you have failed to put together a business case with sound, rational, logical reasoning that can be followed by the average lay person, that isn't our fault. To accuse anybody of being political or to be dismissive of the fact that this is the largest, most complex, most expensive capital works project in the history of the Cayman Islands, ladies and gentlemen, that is extremely political, because ultimately the citizens of this country will end up being responsible for subsidizing and paying for said project. So it's convenient when a politician says the response of a Sterling, Michelle, Mario, Johan is political. I didn't tell you to commit us to a project that you haven't sold the country that is valid on. They talk about a mandate. I asked a question the other day. Did the PPM have a mandate to co-op McKeever Bush and his UDP 3 into their government? Did they go back to their party members and say, hey, to form the government, we're going to have to do this? No, apparently that didn't happen, so they're now comfortable mixing the Kool-Aid, drinking the Kool-Aid, and apparently eating their own vomit, to quote a freshman legislator. And it's that sort of logic that blows my mind, because I'm not saying that you don't need to improve the experience for the cruise passenger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's saying that. What people are asking and the questions that are being asked are, have the significant environmental issues been addressed? The answer is no.
All right.
You don't need to listen to me. You can ask Gina Ebanks-Petrie, director of DOE, and she was removed from the process because ultimately she was doing her job.
Well, let's pick up on that when we come back from the break. I'm going to try my best to maybe respect at least the news breaks. Maybe I see if Susan can get rid of the rest of the commercial breaks. No, that won't happen. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. 2 government members of the Public Accounts Committee are in London this week to discern how they and other members can work better to ensure public spending and delivery of services is effective and efficient. Deputy Speaker the Honourable Bernie Bush and Councillor Austin Harris are attending the 6th Annual Public Accounts Committee Symposium and Workshop. In international headlines, the U.S. military today announced its deadliest airstrike against the al-Shabaab extremist group in Somalia in nearly a year, killing about 60 fighters. The U.S. Africa Command said that Friday's airstrike occurred near the al-Shabaab-controlled community of Haraderi in Muda province in the central part of that country. According to its assessment, no civilians were injured or killed. China today characterized its mass internment of Muslims as a push to bring into the modern, civilized world a destitute people who are easily led astray, a depiction that analysts say bears troubling colonial overtones. The report is the ruling Communist Party's latest effort to defend its extrajudicial detention of Central Asian Muslim minorities in the midst of mounting criticism. Obesity surgery may dramatically lower the danger of heart attacks and strokes in patients with diabetes. That's according to new research, which reinforces evidence that the benefits extend beyond weight loss. The study tracked about 20,000 severely obese patients with type 2 diabetes. Those who had weight loss surgery had a 40% lower chance of developing a heart attack or stroke in the 5 years following surgery compared to those who got usual care with diabetes medicines or insulin. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's Newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Okay, settle down. There's someone I want to thank. This guy knows how to get the most out of every fill-up. This guy had the common sense to drive into Esso so I could get back on the road. $5,000 richer. Thanks to me. Thank you so much, me. Thank you. Yes.
Spend $25 at any Esso service station and get a chance to win in weekly draws for $5,000 cash. Every week for 5 weeks, we'll be choosing a winner. You can also get a chance to win free fuel and prizes at our weekly spin and win events. That's $30,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Drive into an Esso station today. You'll thank yourself. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
It's more than what we do. It's who we are. We were your official bank of the quincentennial celebrations in 2003. We were your Bank of the Year 4 times. We were voted as the inaugural top employer in 2010. We were the inaugural Business of the Year awardee in 2017. Who are we? We are Cayman National, your local bank, proudly serving you for over 40 years. It's because of you that our journey continues.
CUC advises motorists that in an effort to alert approaching drivers of speed restrictions when entering an area of road where CUC vehicles and personnel are present, the company will be deploying rumble strips. These rumble strips are a series of raised transverse rubber strips laid across the road which changes the noise a vehicle's tires make on the surface and so warning drivers of speed restrictions. On approaching CUC's work zones, motorists will observe bright orange road signs signifying rumble strips ahead. Before entering these work zones, motorists will encounter the rumble strips that are encouraged to drive with extreme caution at slow speeds until they are well clear of the work zones. These rumble strips are essential to safeguarding against potential danger to CUC personnel. If you have any questions regarding the use of rumble strips, please contact our customer service team at 949-5200 or via email at service@cuc.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us as we welcome Ms. Michelle Lockwood, Mr. Mario Rankin, and Mr. Johan Moxham to our studio to talk about the proposed port project. Johan, you were sort of mid-sentence, and I respectfully, interjected for the news. But if you want to pick up, that's a question I wanted to ask. You said something and talking about the government committing us, to this project, not just the potential economic, nor environmental, nor social consequences, but the question: are we as a country committed to this project as proposed, or is this still something that, the government and its position and supporters look like this is where they want to go? There are some who are saying, well, hang on, there's some other questions, but are we?
For all intents and purposes, the government seem very much committed to whatever it takes, whatever it costs, no matter the environmental concerns, no matter the financial concerns, no matter the impact to the social economic situation, no matter the fact that there is a lack of actual infrastructure to accommodate the large numbers that they're trying to and hoping to accommodate. The government seem to be tone deaf and disconnected to the reality that a large cross-section, and I would dare say the majority of the voting population, if they're not saying outright no, there are still many questions that are unanswered. I applaud Minister Kirkernel for having the courage to go through a 5-hour meeting and face the grilling, but that was the apex of how disastrous this entire process is. They don't have basic answers to anything. They have misrepresented. They have been economical with the truth on occasion, and they are co-opting government funds with the drivers of the pro-port lobby, who effectively are saying that if you don't commit to this project, the ships won't come. Yet, we had 2 representatives from Royal Caribbean and from Carnival Cruise Line saying, well, we basically need Cayman to park our Oasis-class ships, but our clientele, the customers, want Cayman on the itinerary, so therefore there's no risk to the Cayman Islands. Now, that argument runs counter to everything that the Minister of Tourism and the pro-port lobbyists have said to us. And for me, I understand that we need to improve the situation, but if you can't get your story straight from day one, there's something wrong. You remember the lovely ad campaigns that they were running? 8 hours a day. The cruise ship was going to be here 8 hours a day. You go to the meeting and you find out, they're only going to be here 1 extra hour a day. So you spend government's money.
Which is a global average.
But you spend government's money to misrepresent the facts and effectively lie to the public in order to assist a select few. And people are afraid to call this what it is. This is nothing more than another example of government-sponsored corporate welfare, because if you understand who's in the room with the minister, who's influencing the minister, who helped to finance the campaign of the Red Team in order to get to this point, it'll all make sense. But nobody wants to have that conversation. So what they do is they then commingle issues and they say, well, taxi drivers not going to eat and water sports operators not going to eat. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If your government cared about you as a water sport operator, as a taxi driver, as a tour operator, they would be negotiating a better percentage for you from the cruise lines who are currently at the negotiating table with them. The government, for me, have fallen down in 3 areas. The environmental impact assessment, which Director Dwayne Ebanks has told us is incomplete. That is a significant issue, and you can't dismiss that as some people care about the environment. The environment is why people come to Cayman. If you're a tourist and you can't come to the 7 Mile Beach and swim in the crystal blue waters, what was the point of coming here? Secondly, they can't provide you a range of potential costs on the financial modeling. You know why? What they want you to believe is untrue. The range is closer to $400 million than it is at $200 million. If I was wrong, don't you think that they would be here, the government, the deputy governor, the pro-port lobbyists, and saying otherwise? Look at the airport. The same minister responsible for this port project is responsible for the airport project that now has significant cost overruns. This government have a proven track record of failing to manage projects and come in on budget ever. So what makes us think now that a complex project like the port is going to suddenly come in and be at $200 million when that's a number that they used from 2015? It doesn't add up. And it's about being objective and honest with the people. And the pro-port lobbyists, especially those in the retail sector that are driving this process, there's a reason why they're involved, but they deflect the issue and then they castigate and they say, Mario's getting paid, Michelle's getting paid, Johan's getting paid. This is a national debate that doesn't need all of that. If you present the facts, everybody can have a conversation and give the pros and cons and go from there. But when people show you who they are, believe them. And this entire discussion has brought out the nastiness of people at their core personality, but also has shown you what these politicians are all about. It's not about the masses. It's about placating and satisfying a select few. And me, you, and him shouldn't have to pay because somebody didn't manage their business properly.
So you see there was the environment, the economic cost, and what's the third one?
There's a socio-economic cost to this.
Okay.
All right. At the end of the day, they talk about 1,000 jobs. Where's the list of the jobs?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that.
We
asked for that at the meeting.
Listen, you're dealing now with a population that is educated. You have something called the internet that changed the game. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have a bunch of people that have come home from university that get it. But more importantly, I remember the same pro-port lobbyists that didn't show up today were quick to say that our group or the concerned citizens were just expatriates. This group is made up of every type of Caymanian. White, black, green, purple, first generation, multiple generation.
UDP, PPM.
UDP supporters, PPM supporters, people that have concerns because the government have failed to answer the questions and provide the right information.
Let's go to the phones and pick up some callers. 949-8037. Miss Susan, there's a couple of calls in the queue. No? Yeah? Maybe so. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You see now? In the studio, Mario Rankin, Johan Moxham, together with Michelle Lockwood. Let's go to our phones. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Panel.
How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. Good
afternoon.
I want to speak to that big mouth boy called Mario.
Mm-hmm. Go right ahead, man.
You ever heard that they had to close down one island in the Philippines that had got destroyed by too many tourists mashing up all the coral and destroying everything? They had to close the island down. And did you hear that Maya Beach in Koh Phi Phi up in Thailand had to close down too? Yep. Too many people destroying the place.
Yep.
So all these people are calling for all these tourists and saying not going to damage the beach. When you come up out of the sea or go in the sea, first you don't carry much sand. But if you go in the sea and come back up and pick up a load of sand and walk back out in the sea, that shades off in the sea, right? Which you can come right back in. But if you just keep wearing the beach down, soon you will have the beach kind of eroded, by human traffic, not by any wave action, just by too many people walking back and forth and just mistreating the beach.
Right.
You understand? But excuse me for saying that, Mario.
No.
This is jeweler, man.
No, I know, man. Listen, I got broad shoulders. Yeah. The pro port people have more colorful things to say.
All right, so anything else you want to share, sir? Okay,
no,
thanks.
I'm not going anything else, so can I share it or not?
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, sir.
Well, I to extend on what Johan was saying earlier, we had Miss Gina on a radio show on Friday, and obviously that again created more questions again for us. And then to follow up to that, we had the Minister of the Environment on the earlier Radio Cayman show, and I thought it was very interesting on his comments, because you would have thought that he would have liaised with Gina, being a part of government and being in a department that he's responsible for. You thought that he would have come on radio and had accurate information as to what was going on in the harbour. In fact, it only proved to me and everybody else that was listening that I don't think that Mr. Seymour ever stepped one foot in Georgetown Harbour as far as to go snorkeling or go diving or even on a glass bottom boat. The reality is that if we're going to have a fair conversation or a reasonable conversation about this topic, and if someone is going to try to detract or try to discredit anything that anybody who has a bank of questions or concerns as to what the implications of the project is, then I think that we've definitely lost sight of the importance when we're having a discussion of something like Johan mentioned earlier, of this magnitude. We're not building a boardwalk or a sidewalk. No. We're building a cruise terminal in the center of Georgetown, where some of our most pristine environment is along that entire corridor from Norwest Point all the way to South Sound Key. And we must understand that that's not something we can replace. That's not something we can rebuild. We can't paint it over. We can't do anything to it once it's destroyed. Once it's gone forever, at least for our lifetime and many generations to come.
All right. We do have a call online as we go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon again, Sterling, and this are you and company.
Good afternoon again, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I have two things I want to speak about. The first one is government seems to be targeting especially the people in the tourism industry with things that not quite so. They said 4,500 Caymanians are employed in the tourist industry. But what they're not saying is how many expatriates are working in the tourism industry. I think they follow more expats working in the tourist industry than what we have Caymanians.
Yep.
And if they want to really help Caymanians, I think some of the people that are really pushing this sport are the cruise ships who's selling all the tours before people come to the island, right? And the big tour companies that are killing off the ships, and the poor taxi drivers and others are getting very little. Now, there is a solution for that. Is simply get some brochures or the pamphlets and pass them out to the people as they're boarding the ship. You got to be able to find somebody down there to pass them out to the people. So, God, you come into Cayman, so enjoy your stay more. Here's the way you can plan your visit. We have buses can go. All our taxis are air conditioned and clean, and well knowledgeable people. On local buses, a quarter mile away, you can take that. Things like that. Explain places they can go, and the cost. Then those people on the ship must be able to sell those other trips for 3-4 times what the people can get them when they come here. And the people pass them around in the boat on the ship. They'll have a better idea of where to go in Cayman and the cost. And this should help a lot with the other local buses, taxi drivers, and everything else. They can do that right now, but I can't have done they're going to do that because like I said, a lot of people pushing this are the ones that are selling all these four other ships.
Yes, sir.
For 3 times as much, right? And okay, one other thing that, hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's another part of it. The location for the dock. Now, I got to go back a bit that most you would not know about, but the North South used to be a big crater, and there were 3 like small islands, one around West Bay, one East End, and one Georgetown. And the earth shifted on its axis, and the sail was filling up. There were currents flowing from the big channel in North Sound, and around the 7 Mile Beach area, around the public beach area, and pushing the sand up, first to fill up towards south of Pipe. One of the first areas to fill up was by Red Bay. And as it keeps filling up, the last one, that's up a few hundred years ago, there was almost Georgetown and West Bay were almost separated by a public beach area. So the current, why people don't want to know it, because the current flow in the channel. But by Red Bay, the currents are flowing outward to the sea. So that would be definitely the best place to put a channel on the cruise ship dock right there.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, something to consider, but we do have another caller in the studio, Michelle Lockwood, Mario Rankin, and Yuha Mock. So, hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mom. How are you?
Good afternoon to your panel.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mom. Good afternoon.
Yes, we have supposed 5 cruise ships in today.
We do have 5 cruise ships in today. I just saw them.
Yeah. I hope everybody's happy.
In slow season, too.
in slow season, yes. Something went on overnight for us. But anyhow, I just want to say that they just raised the prices down at the port. I understand the airport will be raised sooner or later. So the air bill at the port to Royal Palms from the port is $5, and then further down is $6. And a tour for an hour and a half to 2 within the 7 miles, not going east, is $25 per person. That's what a taxi driver should be making now, right? So today a taxi driver went down there and tried to get a trip. And a gentleman came to him and asked him what the price is to go to the beach. He said $5 to Royal Palms. He said, well, someone just told me, I was talking to him, it is $3 per person to Royal Palms. So the taxi guy, just saying, I bought this. We as taxi drivers always fighting for prices for the business. But when we get the price, we change it to our liking to try to move the line as fast as possible. That's okay to a certain extent. But don't come on here and cry. It is too cheap to go to Royal Palms for $4. It is too cheap to go to public beach for $5. We need a raise. And then when we get the raise, then they're not even using it. You understand where I'm coming from? So if we're going to go and try to build a port, who are we building a port for? Because if these guys are going to continue doing what they're doing, if the prices are raised and they continue doing what they're doing, and the government going to say, you know what, we're going to make as much as possible come off and book and tour with you guys locally on land instead of booking through the cruise ship. They're going to screw it up. Excuse my French. They're grabbing for the first dollar. I've been in the taxi business now almost 15 years, and I'm not here to judge nobody and criticize no one, but I have come to the conclusion that this taxi business is like cocaine. The more you get, the more you want. Come on here with a bullshit and say, you know what, I want to make $500. Mario, you make that $500, and before the day is out, the $500 is finished. Mm-hmm. Say, okay, tomorrow, I go in for $1,000. That is the thing that is going on out here with a lot of taxi drivers. But that is their business. But don't ask for a raise and doing the opposite. You follow me? It makes it harder for the other individuals to get someone put in their car. But anyhow, I just want to say that people is probably saying, this woman's a taxi driver. Why is she so against the port? We need a port. Not downtown, my Georgetown, if we can help it. So I am with you guys 100%. And I pray that we win the situation. And I just want to say that people that not got no knowledge of what's happening, they need to come out to these meetings, read and listen to positive people, because we got a lot of what you call coward people living amongst us.
Tell them, Miss John. Call it again. We call it, Miss John. Call them. Say it again.
Cowards. They are cowards.
A nation of sheep.
Yes, they are
led by
people.
wolves.
Led by wolves. And when you drink that Kool-Aid, you can't see nothing more than red Kool-Aid. They don't even do the purple one, it's but to do the red one. You follow me? I just want to say that they are coward people, and they got to be stopped. This cowardness has to stop and come out and fight on the country, because we have nowhere to go.
That's
but
right.
I got to say today, as long as we got the assessment going on and social service, the majority of these young people not going to come out here and fight for their country. If we cut that sucker loose for a few months, I bet you will see who's in the construction and who is doing tourism. And we have a lot of Caymanians, born Caymanians, who is not too much into the tourism, and they need to get involved in tourism. And you know what defeat them, Mario? They have been to the public transport for a taxi license, and they've been rejected. And many more people have been about them
Ms.
and
John?
got their license.
Ms. John, can I ask you a question? You've been doing this as long as I can remember, but hasn't there been a taxi permit moratorium for about 10 to 15 years? And now all of a sudden, we've seemed to open up the gate. So instead of allowing you guys that have been in the industry to benefit from this new rate scheme, we seem to be supplying now more taxi drivers to you guys. So I just try to understand how you're going to benefit if you now have more people providing the same service, when for 10 and 15 years you had a moratorium. Can you help me understand that?
I can't understand it myself. Every time you go there, it's closed. My family went there looking for a taxi license. You know what they tell them? It is closed. And since they was rejected, I see new taxis on the road here in the Cayman Island. It is all about the Caymanian that has no say and no right and no one to encourage them to become somebody in their own country. They want to keep us as a bunch of cowards, illiterate idiots in my country. I love my island. I ain't going nowhere. And people can say, why is she talking so? Because I am fed up and I'm disgusted with how we are being treated in this island we call the Cayman Island, when it wasn't like this many years ago. We have made investors come here and take over left, right, and center. And because two Caymanians want to speak up now, we are the worst son of a guns on the face of the earth. I got so much more to say, but I know Sterling going to cut me off.
No, man, this is not a morning show. You good? Keep going.
Well, I'll tell you, Miss John. I just want to just add to it, because it's interesting you bring up that point and what Johan said, because it identifies the lack of strategic planning moving forward. It's funny how we can boast about increasing the number of cruise passengers, yet we're going to also increase those individuals who are going to get into that line of work, which is going to just water that size of the pie right back down to what it is now. And where do we stop at a numbers standpoint? Do we continue to increase it because people want to increase their bottom line in the businesses that they work in, or are we going to identify that industry, realize that we can only facilitate so much people to accommodate those level of cruise passengers and stayover passengers, so that the individuals who are in that field of work are able to generate enough local wealth that they don't have to depend on increasing the numbers to the detriment of our environment and our infrastructure on land. So the reality is that there's no real strategic planning on how do we arrive where Caymanians could actually derive wealth from these industries, because what we've done is we've opened the floodgates for any and everybody to come and be a part of it once they call themselves Caymanians. And that is one of the fundamental issues that is affecting this. That's why we have you, who is a taxi driver, who deal with tours and who deal with individuals who come off the ship, could get on the radio and be so passionate about how the unfair pricing and the unfair market within that area that you work in. So we can't just say we want to bring 3 million people here and there's no planning behind how we're going to distribute those 3 million people and to whom.
All right. Thanks so much, Mom, for calling. And with that, let's pause quickly, take our next break. When we come back, let's continue the discussion. Stay tuned.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise the public that the following areas will be restricted to the motoring public from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday, the 21st of October, to facilitate the installation of new water supply infrastructure in the area: Shedden Road, between the intersection with Thomas Russell Avenue and the intersection with Crew Road and Dorsey Drive, and the northbound lane of Crew Road from the intersection with Smith Road to the intersection with Shedden Road and Dorsey Drive. During this time, local access only to businesses and residences in the area will be available, and representatives of the authority will be on hand to direct local access traffic. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity, and all motorists are asked to drive with caution to ensure their own safety as well as that of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its valuable customers as it undertakes these roadworks and apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause.
Brandsource Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brandsource Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brandsource Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brandsource Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
CMEA, in association with Pirates Week,
is bringing back the National Song Competition Saturday, November 10th. If you got the lyrical and vocal skills to represent our beloved Isles and National Festival, enter today. Over $10,000 worth of prizes to be won, including $5,000 for first place. The winner will perform on the Kaboom main stage. The Pirates Week National Song Competition, bringing back the best of old times. Call 949-5078 to enter today. Sponsored by the Ministry of Culture, the TAB, and CMEA, and Radio Cayman.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go.
Meet the world with Puritan Cleaners. They are here for you and me. Best cleaners you will see. Happy 60th anniversary to Puritan. Puritan, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. Take advantage of our ongoing discounts on all men and women's apparel. Ask about other discounts. 4 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Centennial Towers, West Bay, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery. Call Puritan Cleaners 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
Cayman's cruise industry must be preserved and developed. It is a myth that the cruise lines will continue to call on Cayman at the rate they do now without the piers. It is a fact that the mega-class ships will not be tendered. Arrivals will decline by half over time as the older ships are decommissioned. This will hurt our economy and thousands of Caymanians who work in this industry. If we want to continue providing opportunities for Caymanians, we need the piers. Support the piers. Support our tourism.
The NCVO needs your help. Tune in to the annual radio telethon on Saturday, October 20th at 7 p.m. for the best in local entertainment, including C&B, Trinity, Little Magic, Roy Bodden, and High Tide. Call in to pledge any amount or donate online at CaymanGiftCertificates.com to be entered to win over $5,000 worth of prizes. The NCVO's annual radio telethon is broadcasted live from Prospect Playhouse on Radio Cayman and Cayman 27. The NCVO is one of Cayman's oldest charities dedicated to the care, education, and well-being of children and families in need of support. Tune in to Radio Cayman and please help us help our children. The annual Radio Telethon, Saturday, October 20th, 7 p.m. to midnight, live from Prospect Playhouse.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back to Talk Today, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, Johan Moxon, Mario Rankin, and Miss Michelle Lockwood as we talk about the proposed port project. A couple of questions to ask of you and some WhatsApps. For those who are joining us, 949-8037, they're toll free at 1-800-534-8255 or 925-3261 if you want to WhatsApp. Here's a WhatsApp that someone resent us. It says, my biggest issue with the cruise piers is the quote-unquote potential risk to the 7 Mile Beach. The other ports on the western itinerary have more quantity and variety of attractions. It says we do not have that luxury, as we have a very small amount of attractions, with the 7 Mile Beach being one of our biggest draws. So I listened to the comments from cruise ship representatives who indicated that Cayman would still be visited by smaller ships, but the Oasis would not stop. However, they also mentioned that the 22 new ships being purchased or built, only 9 were the Oasis. So it appears that the Oasis class ships are not the majority ships going forward at this time.
Again, it's interesting, and I thank the author of that text message or whatever it was. They obviously are paying attention, and that's an example of where the facts have been misrepresented in order to suit a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we were told that there would only be Oasis class ships.
Right.
We were also told that the tendering fees would be used to pay for the pairs. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to still have tendering. Because you know why? Today we got 5 ships. If you're building a pier that can accommodate 4 Oasis class ships, and the likelihood of 4 Oasis class ships being in the Cayman Islands at the same time, they can't tell us the probability or the likelihood of that. This is where they have gotten cute, and they've used a lot of spin, political rhetoric, and are appealing to your emotions. But my point is this. The government shouldn't have to lie to you to get you to understand what's good for the country. Mm-hmm. The facts are the facts are the facts. When you embellish and stretch something to suit your narrative, you're being disingenuous. And for me, from day one, that has been the process. Let us understand why we have the FFR. The UDP and the PPM put us in a situation where we had to go through all of these sort of procurement issues. Their own actions caused this. So now when they go, we've been open and transparent and we follow this. Well, you messed up over so many years. You're the reason why we have the FFR. Correct. So now you're merely complying with laws based on your reckless, wanton spending and inability to have a plan and stick to it. If you look at this, Mario mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. You have the National Tourism Plan, which essentially contradicts everything that the government are trying to tell us now about the need for the cruise berthing facility. The National Tourism Plan talks about quality, stress on the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Everybody here has mentioned that. Yet, the government are afraid to tell the people of the Cayman Islands that we're going to need 2.3 to 2.5 million passengers per year to finance this thing. Why are you afraid to tell the people how you're going to spend their money? I'm going to give you another way that they're lying to you. Every single body, from the Premier, Deputy Premier, on down to the Kool-Aid drinking zombies and lobbyists on the ProPort thing. We can't have a referendum, it'll cost too much money and it'll delay the process. This same government are using your money to run ad campaigns against a constitutional right that you have under Section 70 of the 2009 Cayman Islands Constitution.
Which, ironically, the PPM put in place.
Well, again, this thing is riddled with so many contradictions and double speak that they would have you believe $1 million on a referendum costs too much, so let's go spend $400 million on a dock that they can't justify as to why we need.
Well, and also in the 2013 Mott McDonald report, which they I think they've hidden it under a conch shell because they don't want anybody to see that. They keep referring to the 2015 Mott McDonald report, but in that report there was a lot of summaries in there that indicated, and it's back to the point of having a 4-pair cruise docking. Whereas now today we have 5, and in some cases we have up to 7. So hypothetically, if we can only accommodate four ships on a day of 7 calls to our port, then theoretically we're going to have 3 ships who are going to have to tender. But in the report of the 2013 Mott McDonald report, found that when they had discussions with the other cruise ships who are not building Oasis size ships, and they basically said that if we come to a port where preference is given to a company who has involved themselves with the outfit of the port and the financing of the port, that they would care not to call to that port and just move on to other destinations, simply because they would not have an opportunity to capture any of the land-based tours, and it's in their report. So if we're saying that we're doing the cruise berthing to accommodate 4 Oasis-sized ships on any given day, then we're being very misleading, number one, because they're not going to have 4 Oasis-sized ships ever docked at that port at any given time.
I'll just give you one thing for 30 seconds, just to show that this isn't the ranting of a passionate Caymanian. I have legitimate concerns because the way that the government have tried to sell this project to us is based on a fairy tale and lies, and the story keeps changing week to week. I'm going to give you an example. If you look at the National Tourism Management Plan 2018 to 2023, go to the section that reads attractions and events. It clearly says at section 14, overcrowding at key attractions. Stingray City, the Turtle Center, the 7 Mile Beach public access areas experience massive overcrowding when cruise ships arrive and impact the overall visitor experience. A visitor management strategy deployed as part of the National Tourism Plan aims to provide some immediate recommendations for better management of visitors around these key attractions. It is in their own National Tourism Management Plan, yet they're trying to sell us on the need for more cruise passengers, bigger ships, when their own National Tourism Plan, written by the same people, the same minister, tells you something different. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to believe me. You don't even have to like how I speak. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying I've taken the liberty of reading everything, and I can assess what's right from what's wrong. They're changing the story, and it's full of holes, and that's why people like me ask the questions, and I go, well, I can't support this because your own department is now telling me something contradictory to what the minister is saying, and the minister is driven by the politics of it. And you got to understand, who are the players in the room influencing and driving, and then you will understand why this is nothing more than government-sponsored corporate welfare.
We have a couple of calls online as we go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hi, welcome. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I only got a couple of words to say, but what I got to say is going to be sweet. You know, you fellas need to get a life. When Joe Grind come in, when Joe Grind come in, I'm going to walk up and down like a zombie, and I need to get a life when I'm talking to my crap and I talk to man.
I respectfully disagree with that.
Right.
They're saying
We'll agree to
very
disagree.
very
We'll
pertinent
move on.
things.
No, it's fine. Thanks for looking out for me, though.
Let's see what the other caller. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. Afternoon.
Joe Grind, is that you?
Oh, yeah. Family.
My friend.
Good
welcome.
afternoon, friends. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Gotta get a life. Well, I had. But, anyways, they hiding a lot. I just gotta say something real quick.
Yes, sir.
And just see if you can follow me. But there's also a lot of environmental technologies other than concrete you can use to have this done. You can have it inflatable, because you would have that water slide. You would have a big rubber inflatable anchored down by the tenders out in the ocean. There's nothing going to harm that. You inflate it when they're there, and you deflate it when they're gone. No, what environmental will be about that? You make it from all the old tires that they got around you. No? Can't do that. But otherwise, they rather have this concrete and damage everything because what? They want us to get that red tide, and we can't go swimming even. Can't do nothing. That's the whole point, is to build it up to have it fall.
All right, man. Let's take the caller. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Oh.
Good afternoon.
It's John Jefferson.
Hey, sir. How are you?
Good, thanks. Listening to all the stuff that's going on.
Yes, sir.
I'm listening to what you got there. What I'm concerned about very much at present, I see they go ahead and built, I think it's a four-story building on the West Bay Church. The West Bay Church near the restaurant that's there.
Right, just north of the 4-way.
Beg pardon?
Yeah, yes, sir. Just north of the 4-way before you turn off. Yes, sir.
And if there was raised great hooray about that problem, and now because I know plenty of people. There were people raised against the problem of putting up that problem. And now, if I'm what I'm saying is correct, I think they're thinking about doing is it a 4-story building on the West Bay Beach?
Yes, sir.
Eh?
No, on the West Bay Beach, I think he can go 13 stories, I think, at least.
Yeah,
if you listen to the honored opposition member.
Why I raised the question about the West Bay Beach. Remember, there was a statement, I think about maybe a year ago. The question that was that the West Bay Beach was one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. That question was taken because different other countries were saying that the West Bay Beach is the most. They agreed that West Bay Beach was one of the beautiful beaches in the world. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if that is true, then that means that we are going to ruin the idea, the beautifulness of the West Bay Beach. And they also what I raised to the question of the 4-story building which is being put up at present. I raised the question: if you look up further back up there, if you look at parts of the beach up on the further on the right, you will see that there were up there. There was a construction done up there, and the beach is so short. It was so short of that they found out that it wasn't possible there, and that concrete was there, so that means that right there is so short that you could not do anything to the beach up there, and we raised that question in relation to the beach. So I'm going to show that what part of the beach is no good now. And so we wondered, what are we going to do to the beach? And no, I just wonder thing we do that. And then they thought also the other day when we said that there were so many, I spoke to the government, that there's so many hotels that being planned to come into the island and already being done. And I spoke to the government, the department dealing with tourism, and we agreed that because the thing about all of the hotels that are planned to come in, that we ought to be able to, we ought to take Caymanians and set them overseas. That there was a bunch of Caymanians that would be trained, so that if we're going to have all those those hotels, which would provide service, places would provide service for the hotels.
Yes, sir.
Of Caymanians, then therefore that would be a great thing for Caymanians because they could fill those spots, those things. And I never had anything yet. I'm saying to them, and I just want to remind them of that promise that was made. And I would just want to remind those that was a promise that was made. And I ask them to remind them that is a very important part for Caymanians, and also to help them, which is so many people that would be able to be trained as the people of this land.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks very, very much for sharing with that. And when we come back, take some more calls. We also have a couple of WhatsApp messages to share, including one that asks, who is on the committee that is selecting those that are, sending in the bids. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Brand Source Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brand Source Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brand Source Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Welcome to our Esso service station. How can I help you today, ma'am?
$25 in fuel, please.
Sure. I bet I can make you smile, too.
Bet you can't.
Would $5,000 cash make you smile?
Of course. Who wouldn't? But how?
Spend $25 or more in fuel at any of our Esso service stations, and you could be the winner of $5,000 cash. Every week for 5 weeks, one lucky winner will win $5,000 cash. Made you smile, didn't I?
I'm smiling.
Drive into an Esso station today. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
Radio Cayman, your #1 community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, Ms. Michelle Lockwood, Mario Rankin, and Johan Moxham are our guests as we talk about the port. I think Ms. Susan has her hands full trying to juggle between, keeping us on air, on the television, video screen, whatever that.
That's a great job, though.
Well, the radio part, but the TV part gets in the way, man. You should just take that out of the studio. You have a caller online, Ms. Susan? One caller? Is that lunch, man? Let's go for it. Hey, good afternoon and welcome here on Talk Today.
Yeah, welcome again. Just one thing I wanted to mention just now.
Yes, sir.
I was a taxi driver for more than 20 years, right? One of the biggest problems the taxis have at that port is all of these people are being booked for these big tour companies. And Mr. Mark, and you know how many tour buses they have licensed to operate in the ships, and what the carrying capacity of all of them?
I don't know those numbers, but it's not hard to get.
But how many buses operating on the dock, and what is the carrying capacity? And they're all pre-booked on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Those buses all line up on the dock. Right? The ordinary taxi have to park a mile away.
Well,
they have very little chance of getting even the scrap that come off of the ship.
Well, one would imagine that when you see a bus that costs over $100,000 and you see multiple buses in that regard from one company, you'd have to lean towards saying that they have a pre-existing contract with the cruise ship.
That's the point. They're all being booked on the ship, and if the new pair comes in, they're going to simply get more buses and less work to the ordinary taxi drivers.
Right, which is why I said in a previous radio show that is going to be very limited to those individuals who are hoping for the increased passengers to increase the traffic through their buses, because those who have pre-existing contracts with the cruise lines is going to just only increase their fleet to accommodate.
I get how some taxi drivers rooting for the port, thinking
Exactly.
they're going to get more business. Then you have understand water taxes coming in too as well.
I thought no one heard about that.
They're not doing anything for Cayman people.
11 brand new.
As far as the public transport concerned, and I can say because it happened to me, I was driving taxi before they had taxi license, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what with Cayman Cab, Charlie's, Webster's, and I challenge any of those old taxi drivers to say that I was not a good taxi driver. I was getting more requests than most other drivers. I did good in the pride test, but when I went to take the test for a taxi license, at least 4 or 5 answers had right. They marked wrong, so I could not get my taxi license. And this is just not me. There's other people, Caymanians, that apply for taxi license as well. And I can say without fear of anything, there's some corruption going on in there. Instead of that needs to change.
Could I make me one mention before you go off, because you said something very interesting and something that I just discovered most recently. When you do sit that pride examination, the pride examination is to outline what your knowledge is about the Cayman Islands and your ability to say that to your guests. And I looked at a few of the videos that was provided by some of the ProPort people, and I've seen a lot of characters on those videos who I can almost guarantee you didn't pass the pride test.
In the pride test, I did very well. I mean, like I was driving taxi, not in Cayman, but Cayman back in Little Cayman and doing tours. But there's other questions. Okay, do you know where Lighthouse Point is?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I had to ask several people that's supposed to know before I found the dive site. What does a dive site have to do with driving a taxi? You know?
All right, well, hey, thanks very much. And as we get ready to go to the news in a few seconds, maybe any initial thoughts?
I just wanted to ask one question, and it's something for the public to consider. When you look at Cayman and when you look at the balance that needs to be struck, the question that we should be asking ourselves is, how do we justify devaluing a world-class jurisdiction with world-class attractions like Stingray City for little money and pushing mass numbers versus valuing the country, the 7 Mile Beach, Stingray Cities and so on and so forth, and pricing it properly with providing a better quality service? Because what the ProPort lobbyists want and what the government are telling you is more numbers equals better. That is not necessarily the case. Shouldn't we be focused on quality versus quantity? And the reason why I say that is because the National Tourism Management Plan and the government's own strategy for stayover tourism is in direct conflict of the proposed plans that they're giving for the cruise berthing. So did anybody in the ministry read these documents? Did the minister understand that he's now responsible for ensuring that there's a balance to be struck? Because right now they're pulling out all the stops for cruise berthing, but the thing that brings home the bacon is your stayover tourism. But apparently the wrong people are not advocating for that, so therefore we're prepared to throw the baby out with the bathwater, it seems like, in order to placate a select few. And that's where, as a country, we need to continue to ask questions about the environmental impact, about the financial long-term implications, and striking that balance within the tourism product, because more does not necessarily mean better. And it's about quality, not quantity.
And what we're losing in translation and all of the debate and all of the back and forth from both sides is that we won't control and own the port for 25 years, a port that we currently own right now. So we have to do a better job on when we put when we put forward capital projects on who's going to manage those projects, especially the port, which is the lifeline.
Well, Mario, you're talking about a plan, and we don't have a plan for anything.
Well,
we don't have a national development plan. We don't have a national infrastructure plan.
And that's exactly the point that that I think needs to be driven home. And especially when you've highlighted a lot of the fundamental issues with the approach that the government has taken. And that's what has developed this roundtable discussion right here now. Because had it been as comprehensive as Johan had expressed it should have been, I don't think there would have been very little argument as to, as opposed to what the financial model is, who's going to control it, how long we're going to get it back, why are we doing this. But now we have in conversations, and unfortunately we don't have the pro-port individuals in here so that we could have had that delightful debate. So we could have entered the minds of each others to understand what they know versus what we know. Because for some suspicious reason, I firmly believe, you'd have to either be totally reckless or you'd have to be speaking from a position of information. And yet we are the concerned citizens who are going to have to bear the entire load of the cost, the effects of infrastructure, the environmental effects. So we have just as much right as they do.
Well, a couple of those questions have been asked on our WhatsApps as well. So after a news break, maybe we can join some of our WhatsApp listeners and share some thoughts from there. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
On Monday, officers received a report of an indecent exposure which had taken place earlier that morning. A woman had been walking along South Church Street when she was approached by a male who was not known to her. The male made advances to her and began following her, refusing to leave her alone and eventually making unwanted physical contact. The male then indecently exposed himself to her and continued to follow her. She yelled to the male to leave her alone, knocked on the doors of a nearby apartment complex for assistance, and filmed his actions with a cell phone camera. Eventually, the male left the area. The video is now being circulated on social media. Police say a man aged 28 of Georgetown was arrested last night on suspicion of indecent exposure and indecent assault on a female in connection with this incident. He remains in police custody. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in news elsewhere. Ethiopia's Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, has appointed women to half of his government's ministerial posts, including the job of Defense Minister. Explaining his decision in his speech to Parliament, Mr. Abiy said women were less corrupt than men and would help restore peace and stability. Ethiopia is now the only African state after Rwanda to have equal gender representation in the cabinet. U.S. President Donald Trump has mocked porn actress Stormy Daniels in a tweet after a judge dismissed her defamation lawsuit against him. The judge ruled that a presidential tweet Ms. Daniels said was defamatory was protected by the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech. Mr. Trump said he can now go after Horseface and her third-rate lawyer. And Nicole Kidman has said her marriage to Tom Cruise gave her protection from sexual harassment early in her career. The Australian actress married Cruise in 1990 after they starred together in the film Days of Thunder. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Radio, not television, television, not radio. How do we mix the two? Well, we seem to get a mess of most things, and boy, I hate these cameras in the studio, boy. But anyway, I'm glad I got good company of people who have at least the aesthetical pleasing, but also intellectual perspective as we talk about the port. A couple of questions, though. Johan Moxham has, with great respect, joined us for a bit, and but you guys are busy professionals who have obligations. So thank you for taking time. To our listeners who spend their time sharing their thoughts with us, really appreciate that. I recognize that Cayman is at times a very taxing place, and people's times are very precious. So thank you for sharing and contributing to our listeners. A couple of comments to share. Do we take the first one, like the comments? Last one in, first one out? Or the first one in, last one out? All right, let's ask one. Good afternoon to the panel. Please provide an update on the referendum petition. You can take that one later on. And says, question to the panel: if the referendum is really for a democratic right, why do they spend 90% of the time trying to give the reasons why we should not have a port? And then at that end, I guess, do not have a port, and then at the end pretend that they just want people to have a say. Also, why does Johan not consider it government-sponsored corporate welfare to put 25 million a year into Cayman Airways each year to support the hotels? And read them all, and then we can get to some, right? This one says, good afternoon. Can't England step in? Can't we rather get a group to go to England about this issue? Why can't we be heard? So there is, and this one's asking, as you shared, who's on the committee that is selecting those that are bidding for the port projects?
I assume it's the minister.
Well, under the FFR, there's a very strict guideline and requirement that anything over a certain amount of cash, that threshold, it has to go to a public tender. Now we know that they've just introduced a new procurement law, which sings a different tune, and was one of the main reasons why Mr. Strandbaden was very adamant of not revealing who they were. And the thing is this, Sterling, is that and to Strand's point, if someone in the audience suggests to you that someone or a company is part of the top three, how is it compromising to the three shortlisted individuals if the person that was suggested in the stand wasn't a part of the top three? Isn't it easier for the government to just say, hey, they're not part of the top three? You're not compromising anybody in the top three if they're not a part of it, and you're not compromising any liable statement by saying that the company that was suggested is not a part of it. So that's a clear indication that the company that was suggested from an audience, someone in the audience, is clearly one of the top three bidders. Hence the reason why the government reserved any comments in that regard. Now, when we talk about one of the comments you just made, and I want to address them because at the end of the day, it's very important.
Yeah.
When they make suggestions that why are we supporting the petition, which is our democratic right, constitutional requirement by us as concerned citizens, and then yet we're saying everything to prevent port. I think that maybe the person who wrote that have not been listening long enough, or maybe they're not interpreting what the message is. Because surely I'm still allowed my opinion, whether I am for or against the port. I'm still allowed the right to ask questions about a project of this magnitude, which is a matter of national importance. So for someone what it tells me is that all the questions that I've been asking thus far has let this person believe that I am against the port. So that obviously means that the questions that I have is a very valid set of questions because, number one, if building a cruise pier is going to be to the detriment of the environment in which we sell for people to come here, that's an issue. If the infrastructure does not allow the carrying capacity of the additional 600,000 to 700,000 passengers that come into our shore, again, that is not my issue. That's all of our issue. So I asked him the question, and yes, I could see where one may interpret that is anti, but that is very, very considerate of one, our environment, our infrastructure, which we all have to deal with. Because when a cruise line has spent a port and they decide that there's no more value in that port, they have no obligation to stay within that port. There are too many sitting examples, Alabama and many other places where they built ports, didn't work out, they uprooted and they left that state with the huge expense to pay for it, right? So when we look at the whole entire holistic argument, let's put away all the glossy ads, the hundreds of thousands of dollars of our money that are being spent to fight a constitutional right. Now imagine money being spent by the people against the people.
Yeah. That was a question that we had earlier too. Someone was asking, how is it that the government is spending, or is it that the government spending? I was trying to find it so I could read it how it was. The money for the ads that we're hearing, is that government's funds?
Well, right on the bottom of the ad it says the administrator of the Ministry of Tourism. So I mean, I unless we have two Ministry of Tourisms now, one of the biggest issues that I think that we're running into a roadblock with is that the government has not done anything to date to justify this project to everybody across all cross sections. Because had they done that, then there would be no use for this dialogue.
Yeah, well, and I think, like, even going back to what Johan said at the beginning, it wasn't that long ago that we were having these fancy ads in the paper saying that they were going to stay for 8 hours. And even at the beginning of the speech, that Minister Kirkconnell's speech, on the day when he had the meeting on the 26th of September, he said that they were increase the time spent so that they could not only visit Eastern districts, but also possibly even visit the BRAC. Within that same meeting, I asked the question, what's going on, how long are they actually going to spend? Because the Baird report actually says disembarkation rate is going to remain the same. I keep repeating that over and over again because I think that's worth bearing in mind. Right. But the response to my question was that if you add 25 minutes here, 25 minutes here, 25 minutes here, then it adds up to an hour. So we're increasing the spend from 4 hours to 5 hours. So, it just goes to the point where, all the inconsistencies and misrepresentations that we're getting.
And that's the reasoning behind a lot of the additional question that has arisen since the meeting and to the WhatsApp or the text message person. The reality is that if we're not asking these questions, because these are very relevant questions, and forgive us for sounding, anti-port, which is not. The reality is that if we are willing to go to mass cruise, we just need to say it. We just need to come right out and tell the public. If that's what the government is leaning towards, Sterling, they should just say it. Then we can have a debate about that as to why we should or why we shouldn't. But at the very core issue that we see here is that, one, we're not getting the proper information. Two, they have not taken the environment into extreme consideration, as one of their ads said. If there was any doubt that it would destroy or have created any issues for the Selma Beach, that would be the genesis of them pulling the plug.
But that's not the only part of the environment we need to be concerned about.
I was only quoting based on what they told us. Yeah. And again, that's where we're left at a disadvantage, because we are trying to have a reasonable debate based on information that they've given us, which is painfully obvious, not the correct information, and certainly not enough information for us to have a very informed opinion so that we can either say yes or no.
All right, let's take our calls. I was trying to find the message for you verbatim, but let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you? I am just listening to this talk show, and it's hot as hell, and and I'm loving it because I just wanted to keep soaking. I'm good. Put it on. But that's not all I have to say. I wrote down a couple of notes here.
Okay.
I operate from the airport. I'm a taxi driver. And when I look at the airport, that is not finished yet, right? Matter of fact, it has no jetways.
Correct.
It's like a dry weather airport. When it's pouring down rain, the people they either have to stay on the plane or walk out of there, get soaking wet. Then they come into that cold airport. Then they walk outside, and there's no cover out in the front by the arrival areas.
Yep.
And if it's scorching hot, I mean, they're standing there in that scorching hot sun. I mean, you stand up there for 15 minutes, so tell me how you feel. I'd like to see Mr. Moses, the Colonel, and all of them come out there and stand up there for a half an hour or an hour sometimes, if it's not longer.
They get escorted straight into Sir Turtle Lounge.
Sorry?
They get escorted directly into the Sir Turtle Lounge.
True, yes. But they should try doing that. They should try standing up out there or getting soaking wet and then get sick and all of this kind of stuff. Then I noticed, and they built or they bought Scotia Bank. And Mr. Moses said it that night, I think, himself in that one meeting there. Bought Scotia Bank for a courthouse. Why not put that or turn that into some kind of trade school?
There you go.
to keep people from out of the courthouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the system is designed to keep these people over there in a job. The judiciary, the police, the prison, they want to keep them full. This port is not about what for Caymanians.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I mean, when they say Caymanians, I mean we got a lot of Caymanians that are not born and bred here. Yes, we got those paper Caymanians. So I don't know who they're talking about, but they're not doing anything. I mean, to really try to stop the crime from happening. Every day I crossed to go to UCCI. That school up there that they started is rotting down. I mean, it is the wood part of it, the iron, everything is rusting, rotting, all of that. Why not get that finished? Right?
Yep.
Yes, well.
And then I think it was something else I have here too. When it's rough in town, right? When it's rough in town, and it's usually Northwesters in the high season.
Which is this season coming?
Which, yes, in the high season is when we get Northwesters.
That's right.
We don't get it usually in the summer unless we get something like what we got a couple of days ago here with hurricane winds or whatever.
Right.
But in the high season is when we get Northwesters. What happened to the ships then?
Well,
you know where they have to go? If they can? Spot.
That's right.
So why do they want to put the dock? I mean, that's a rhetorical question because I know why they want to put it in town. It's because of Kirk Colonel Brothers stores. And then Dart, he got a lot of stores opening up there, and he's taken over. And Robert Hamilton, because he got 1 million stores up there, too.
That's right.
It's those three are the ones behind this port. They can stop talking about Caymanians, work for Caymanians. I don't even see Caymanians hardly working in hardly any of those stores.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you all. I give somebody else a chance. Thanks for hearing me out.
I just want to make a few comments on her. I cannot resist. I want to thank her for having the courage to call in here and sharing her views in its entirety and not withholding how she feels, because it's important that Caymanians be allowed to do so. And the reality is that we keep hearing this push for the port, and let me tell you, and we keep hearing the reason behind this because Caymanians need to put food on the table. You know, one of the councillors came on the first song and dance show from the government to try to sell this to us. His name is Austin Harris, who happened to be the representative for Prospect. And I think that it was very unfortunate that Austin has taken the position he has taken now, since he was one of the biggest advocates against, doing anything that would hinder our environment and create a marginalization to Caymanians. But the reality is that he said something that was very important, and I think it's worth repeating. He said if the Cayman Islands, if the Caymanian people want to maintain the lifestyle that they have now, that they should get out and support this port. And because I wasn't allowed to take him to task, I would like for Mr. Harris to do a new show, to please go into great detail of which Caymanian lifestyles in which he were referring to, because it would be interesting to hear who he is representing with that statement, because there is a vast majority of Caymanians who are struggling and are suffering because of the lack of infrastructure and proper planning for Caymanians to be inclusive in all this economic success. And I want to know what he would say in the face of those people when asked that question. That's number one. And number two, we need to be very mindful that when we make statements about individuals who are actually fighting for the betterment of everybody as opposed to just a certain group of people, because I can tell you, that lady just hit the nail on the head. She mentioned 3 companies who are the backbone of the pro-port developers, and here we are representing even them. They don't realize that the individuals who they have sold this pipe dream to are the very same people that me, Michelle, Johan, and everybody involved with this movement and is fighting for. Because whether or not they see it now, when this become a reality, that we can create and strike that balance between cruise and stay over, that we don't diminish our quality product, and we can increase and enhance our quality as opposed to quantity, then they would see the great benefits and all of that. But the irony in all this is that as opposed to those small group of people who are benefiting most from cruise, and those individuals who are us. We're not fighting them. We're fighting the people who they've sold this dream to, who happen to be our neighbors and our friends. And when it gets down to the emotion side of it, and they start calling us names, which they have, I can tell you right now, you can go on CPR website, you can go on Save Cayman website, you can go on any of those affiliated websites, and you will not see one negative, derogatory, or demeaning remark made by anybody on this side to anyone. I've gotten, and I could show you all right here, that an individual from the Proport threatened to fight me, to beat me up the next time he see me, and all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying to myself, you want to fight me for my opinion, and in the same paragraph you say you're going to fight me for my opinion, you told me I must respect yours.
Yeah. I lost 2 Facebook friends because of my views.
All right. Let's pause and take a very short break. It is the final break. We've got 2 calls. When we come back, let's take those as well. Please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Thousands of Caymanians work in our cruise tourism industry. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that 4,500 Caymanians work in this industry today as taxi and tour operators, boat captains and crew, restaurateurs, retailers, water sports operators, and ambassadors at our attractions. If our cruise tourism industry is half of what it is today, what are we going to do with our people, the thousands of unemployed Caymanians? Support the peers, support our tourism.
Say hello to Flow.
Radio Cayman's Information Hour, Monday through Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Brought to you by Flow. Cayman's powerful network that connects you to your world like never before.
Flow.
Say hello to your world, Cayman.
Say hello to Flow, Cayman's #1 network.
Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community. Brought to you by the CFA Society Cayman Islands and sponsored by One Trade X. Tune into Money Sense this Thursday as we interview Carl Riccadona, Bloomberg's chief U.S. economist, and investigate the future of today's economic expansion. Are markets set to continue, or will the economic news deteriorate? What about inflation and interest rates? Tune in this Thursday at 7:30 a.m. exclusively on Radio Cayman to find out more. Follow us on Twitter at Money Sense Radio. Money Sense, the only personal finance radio show in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you with the support of One Trade X.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, we have the good company of Mario Rankin and Miss Michelle Lockwood. Johan Moxham, believe it or not, was actually alive in person in the flesh, but apparently he has some excuse. He has a job or some
like
family to support. But anyway, we do have some calls online. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So here, Sterling, I wait 20 minutes. Give me 3 minutes. I need a second. There to go. Here a bit now. My first second with this now. I don't know how it's going to play out. Like I see time and time again, the party rendition of it, a paradox. That you come here, stand properly, and listen to me. And the benefit from it now. Or gain from it. I won't be marked or associated with it. But let me tell you something. What I feel about it now. I want to know what the outcome will be. When November 6th come in, to be determined in the US. And November 14th, it is a part in the LA Let's Assembly. That 8-day time frame. Right? Talk about Theresa May, when she went China in January to make a deal. And we against communists. Sterling, look up YouTube with all them came on Friday. in OC, and recall it, and replay it. That's why I tell them I go. In the Mexican Jamaica airport, and I care about it. You understand? But look at Sterling. You the host, right? You the moderator, right? Differently. I want to know who can polarize at the cipher what's going on. I know. On your forehead up there, or 6 heads there, right? I YouTube now watching you. Watch your reaction, right? But the point I make, when the first premiere was against the taxation with expats, you recall that, right? You know, and about left friends and that was important. I visit about it. I back look at it, and who speaks and out. I talking other rationale there, you know.
Right.
But they make the point I make, Sterling. Give me a minute fast. See, tomorrow birthday now.
Happy birthday to you, man.
Yeah, man. I told the 4 in tomorrow, Canada, the guys in ganja. And I smoking months. I'm on a diet. Sometimes I do not, you know. And we got to look into that, the market. But the point I made with Bush, you know, when he step up with the FFR and pose it before now about who against the expats, you know, taxation. You pay up. I know it's 2:30. Give me 2 minutes. I wait 20 minutes now. You understand? I don't have no feedback or nothing. Differently. You understand? But the port thing, I for it now. I know where you put it. Come with your ideas and I start with it. You want to tell you? Right? I told, hold on. I told Arden McKean were on as a Miller on, Austin Harris, and Jim McKean, 2014 February. I tell them, put the airport up east then. No, not my area. In the backyard, front yard. All right? On the road about it, no. Everybody arriving here, it's pretty. I'll do a different piece up there.
All right.
Right? But Sterling, whatever the outcome of it, you play out and have you or the guests and have one up. And I can't, and I'm losing again. But I'm talking white belief. Because I don't want to hear no buyer's remorse. This here rocket. Because 2 weeks and they got things on our Brexit. And if he did it with us, in German Corbyn around the corner, you tell you.
Right.
I didn't play. And I too late. Yeah, tell you. All right. That's cool yourself.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. Thanks. Hopefully I can engage you another time where we can talk some more. Let's take the other call. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon to your pal Mario and the lady there.
Good afternoon, Mario.
Good afternoon.
I want to call regarding the support of the
referendum
petition that is going on. Sorry, and with Mario and them, because I have one question. I'm not sure it's been asked before, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are on the same page as me want to ask the question. What I would like to ask Mr. Austin Harris in particular, would he please tell the people of the Cayman Islands what made him change his mind? Because I remember when before he got into the Legislative Assembly, he was number one along with Mr. Moxham petitioning about the environment. I remember going to Georgetown and seeing him out there with a shirt on that says "Save Cayman, Save Our Environment." I remember him saying that. He was a big person against it. And now all of a sudden, I would like to know for him to tell me, in particular, or the people of Cayman Islands, what made him change his mind. Because the only thing that this can remind me of, I don't know if you guys got a very good memory, and maybe you'll remember, when the T-Laps was going off, when we were going to have the big march for where the T-Laps, when the government was going to give all of those T-Laps and people, a lot of them from the Ritz-Carlton, or the people where they had a 7-year rollover. And we were supposed to have a march on the Wednesday, and the two biggest, and I'm going to call their names, so I'm sorry if I offend anyone, Mr. Paul Rivers and Mr. Mervyn Smith from West Bay was the two biggest ones hitting that petition, because the Friday before the incident happened, they got on the radio and they said they had over 2,000 signatures that they had accumulated for this march that we were going to do on Wednesday. On Monday, I was made to understand that they had a meeting with the government on Saturday. Monday, we had a meeting in the District of West Bay where they came out and told the public that they were no longer in support of this march and they were supporting the TLF. Now, is this another incident that we're going to play out again? I mean, come on. I mean, stop playing politics with us and whatever, because you can't be for it and then all of a sudden, unless you can show me where there's this big change that I should support it, he would have to show me. And I would like for him personally to come on the radio, which is publicly, and tell us what made him change his mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I haven't seen it yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom. Yes, Mom.
That is certainly a fair point, because I think that even the individuals in his constituency would want to get answers to that question. That is a very, very excellent question, because
all right.
Yeah. But again, you know, it's all about perspective, right? And what we've gotten from the government in regards to information is just not enough. And I think that when you do have a project of this magnitude and this level of importance, that every single piece of information surrounding this particular project should be and must be given to the public at large, simply because we're going to be the individuals who are going to have to live with it for the rest of our lives, and we're going to be the people who are going to have to pay for it, whether it's my generation or my kids' generation or their kids' generation. So,
well, thank you both for sharing and certainly engaging us. And time has been fast, and Ms. Susan trying to balance and manage me. I mean, that's a challenging task, Ms. Susan, but you do it well. Michelle, your presence here has,
I didn't really say anything. Johan and Mario dominated that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nobody even remembers my name when they call in.
It's probably the green.
I'm blending in.
You're blending in. But maybe closing thoughts from you and Mario?
I think, I know some people have brought this up that, CPR is, a proponent of have your say and trying to be neutral with that, but then equally, we're against it. I think Mario and I and everyone that's with us with CPR, none of us are saying that we're against cruise tourism. None of us are necessarily saying even that we're against a cruise berthing facility, but our questions are, is this the right location? Is this the right circumstances? Are we making sure that we're getting the best option for ourselves? Are we, things that like Johan brought up, the fact that all of our attractions are at capacity. We have to think about the product that we are selling. And I think we've lost touch with that, is that some of, even, like Johan said, some of the things within the National Tourism Development Plan are actually in direct contradiction to what the cruise berthing facility plan is. And we have a lot of questions, and I think that that's a fair thing to say, and to ask for more answers, and to be able to do that through the petition, which is why we're pushing for a petition and pushing for a referendum. And I think somebody asked you how the referendum was going, how the petition for the referendum was going, and we're not losing speed. We're going with this like headstrong. We're out every weekend at Hurley's. We're out at Hurley's on Mondays and Wednesdays from 5 to 7. We also have the petition is at Bliss Yoga, Sunset House, Pure Art, and Four Winds SO.
And door to door.
And door to door. We're going door to door. And also you can email us at cprcayman@gmail.com if you want us to come to you. And I'm sure maybe Mario will give his phone number out. He'll even come to you.
We have
mobile.
We have a mobile number, which is 327-5411. By all means, call us and we'll come out to you. And just to wrap up, Sterling, again, what I really want to do is I want to give a shout out to all the volunteers on this project, and I want to express to them how grateful we all are that they have collectively come together and participated, and we've now for the first time in probably the history of Cayman, gotten to a unified front from all cross sections of individuals in our society. And like we were mentioning earlier, that this is everybody involved with this particular movement. And I've seen people, and a lot of people from both sides of the political party arena, independent side, even to those people who have been neutral for a very long time, has come out and allowed us to have a conversation with them and gotten them to a position where they felt comfortable enough signing the petition. And I don't want anybody to get the misinformed idea that we out there trying to sell an idea to someone that is going to be anti-port. That is simply not the case. We've never, and like I said, you can check all of our literature that we put out, all of our information we put out. No one has ever came out and said anything derogatory, negative, and anti to the port. So the reality is that we need to keep up this dialogue. It's unfortunate that the other side.
I was just going to say, I think to add as well too, I really would like at some point to have this opportunity to sit down with the pro-port people on the other side,
right?
Because I think right now all of it is just a bunch of he said, she said, he said, he said.
Right.
Let's sit down. This was a great opportunity, and unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be the opportunity we wanted it to be. But
next time,
hopefully, I mean, I have personally tried very hard to stay neutral with this, including dealing with different people that are on the pro-port side. And when Save Cayman did their rebirth screening, we tried very hard to make sure that we invited all members of government, including people that were pro-port lobbyists, because we want them to understand our side so that we can actually sit down and have a discussion and figure out the best way forward. So hopefully at some point we will be able to have that discussion and be able to sit down. On air or off air.
And we want to thank you too, Sterling, for making that effort to try to get everybody here.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to us.
Thank you.
It means a lot to the country, and our objective at Radio Cayman, especially on Talk Today, is to be able to facilitate, a discussion. But thank you all for honoring your obligations, commitments, and sharing with us openly and allowing us a chance to delve into it. As I was looking at the closing, people were asking about the referendum, so thanks for giving the update on that as to where they can get. And to our listeners, join us back tomorrow. Start first in the morning with Mr. Art for the record. Stay tuned for news and all the information and good music. And then for the Talk Today program, we're going to have opening discussions on the KPMG Breen Bowl. 1 o'clock, we'll talk about the Iguana Cull. And then 2 o'clock, we'll talk about the Government Sports Day. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.